Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. As you can see, we have a guest in the studio this morning for Woke Wellness Wednesdays. It's been a while since I had someone in the studio, so it's this is going to be fun. And test your mic. Make sure can y'all hear Brother Carlin? Let me know. You gotta get up on it a little bit more. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. It is Woke Wellness Wednesday, and we're here with Brother Carlin. The last couple of months, February, March. No, did we do January or just February?
Just February.
February. We did March. We did two.
One in March, yep.
This is the third
February,
one.
March, yep.
Okay. So Woke Wellness Wednesday came from, for those of you that are watching this for the first time, it came into play from me talking with this brother, getting some body work done, and his philosophy around stuff just amazed me. And we've shared stories, and it just came from just those conversations of woke wellness, and it's on a Wednesday, and so we're sort of sticking with that. How have you been since last month?
Pretty good. I think I've been pretty good. Life as well, family as well. Had a small bout with COVID, another rerun.
Okay.
Another return. But
it's still here.
Yeah, it's still here.
As much as yeah.
Unfortunately, it's basically the new coal. I got some different concepts and thoughts on it as well. But it's basically kind of like the new coal, whether you've had it or you're gonna get it at this point, vaccinated, not vaccinated. So
less.
You might as well just sit in for the ride, I guess.
So it's been interesting because, as you know, this weekend we were a little social.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, a couple of times, because it was my first time being in a environment like that, where I didn't realize that for like 2 years I wouldn't go into enclosed spaces with folks like that. And I did. There was a couple of times on Friday night I looked around and I was like,
"Oh, we all here. We got it."
Don't say that, man.
I mean, listen, it's almost like the common cold now. That quickly. That's how quickly we've kind of adjusted. We shifted. People are over it. They don't want to be out. They want to be with masks. I mean, we still got a few people that wear masks, but
yeah,
even a lot of the doctors that were saying masks required, now they say
it's optional.
It doesn't even make a difference.
Here's a term you don't hear anymore.
Yeah.
Herd immunity.
Yeah.
Remember, everybody was like, I was like, that concerned me a lot because it seemed like people were going to sit back and allow people to get COVID and whatnot. But even though we were kind of making light of it, most of the people have either had it, been exposed to it. I still say early on, because I traveled the end of February into the first week of March in 2020. And I always, when I travel, I got allergies and stuff, but that plane air messes with me.
Yep.
And so I just thought it was a severe case of that, not realizing that we had a whole pandemic on the rise. So yeah, enough about COVID. And we still, still be careful. If you haven't got the latest vaccination, consider getting it.
Well, after I got sick, I definitely wore a mask, and I was wearing a mask a little bit just to be precautionary and be respectful to other people.
Yep.
The summit, the first day I wore the mask, but then by the second day, half a day, it was just like, everybody's here. People are looking at me weird. Just might as well just go without it.
Yo, and not to get too deep into that, but it's just interesting because I was talking to a doctor the other day. I had a doctor on. We were talking about STIs and HIV, and they were saying it was almost sort of the same thing with stigma and whatnot. But as you said, now it's weird because someone asked me, did do I think that we'll have another pandemic in our lifetime?
Oh,
In our lifetime, like
Yeah.
20, do you think so?
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, don't say that.
I mean, there's a big part of it is about like control and things just kind of happening.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so yeah.
all right, let's move on to other stuff, Jesus, because 2020 was interesting. But one good thing out of, well, not good thing, but in 2020, I'll go ahead and acknowledge this real quick, because you all have been gracious with the text that I'm still getting this morning, and inboxes and tags and comments. Java with Jimmy made the Boston Magazine 150 most. Look. We fancy.
I love it. It's nice. I'm nice.
I don't get to use that stuff
Got
that
the
often.
soundboard. I
Man,
like it.
listen. And so, thank all of you that have been a part of this, contributed to that. I keep saying, and I put in all caps on the post, this was not a desired or sought after space. And so it's on days like yesterday that I'm like,
And you were recognized. I mean, I'm sure we've talked about it, but I didn't say it to you. So congrats on the previous award about 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
I'm sure you probably talked about that enough as well. So we leave that alone.
Yeah, thank you. Because but one of the things what Carl and I are going to talk about today is I guess my wellness in also carrying this platform, being an advocate, doing 50, 11,000 other things. And so I think that's one of the foundations of woke wellness too, was because we've had a couple of conversations about wellness and being woke is this sort of trendy, sexy, everybody's jumping on a, no judgment, but everybody's jumping on the bandwagon of being well. And we've talked a lot about if we're really committed to our own wellness.
Yep.
And so for somebody that may be watching for the first time, just a little bit about what wellness is for Carlin.
Yeah, definitely. So wellness for me is really about awareness, taking that to like the deepest levels of consciousness that you can. And so I say the deepest levels of consciousness because I visualize, or I've learned and been shown everything that I'm saying is kind of regurgitated, right? Because you learn information and then you share it back. You try to hopefully share it back correctly or in a light or in a way that somebody's going to be able to understand it and like incorporate it for themselves. So, I think about awareness, wellness, mindfulness as I'll use the iceberg example, where consciousness is a little bit that we're aware of and that we're present to, is a little bit that's on top that you kind of see. And then subconscious and all the stuff that we're not aware of is the bigger part of the iceberg that's underneath the water. And you don't actually see that. That's in the darker depths. And, that's where a lot of the stuff happens, right?
Yep.
We're aware a little bit. We're conscious about some of the life choices that we make and the decisions that we do and why we do some things. But the programming, the patterns, all that stuff is underneath the bottom. That's the foundation that gives you that ability to know, like, okay, every morning I get up and I make sure I brush my teeth and I go about my day. Maybe I stretch, maybe I don't, right? So consciousness for me, awareness, wokeness is how much more of that stuff that's underneath can I actually understand? Can I actually be present to? Can I actually be aware of? And actually, I even like this analogy even better is the tree, right?
Yep.
The tree, you've got the branches, you've got the leaves, you've got the stem that's actually growing, but then really it's the roots. And
as the old folks used to say, it's the root. It's the roots. Yep.
It's the roots. It's everything that's underneath the bottom. I tried.
You good.
It's everything that's underneath the bottom. That's where all the substance comes from. And that's what creates the foundation for that tree to determine how big it's going to go. You don't have strong enough roots, the tree falls over in the first little bit of wind, right? And
if you let a little bit of, all right, let's stay with the analogy of the tree. There's dry rot. There's, diseases, parasites. If you don't address it at the root, as they used to say, it'll infiltrate. And so I like that analogy of the iceberg. If I could add to that while you were talking, the conscious, the subconscious, I think that the subconscious in that middle level, where is the not being real with ourselves? Where would you put that, in the subconscious or maybe I'm answering it as we're talking about it, in the conscious? Because there are other things that we are aware of, the easier things like poor time management or whatever. But I used this example on Friday. I had posted a picture of me, and it had a little tire sitting over my stomach, and
Mhm.
Thaddeus Miles sent me
Thaddeus,
he's seen it, and he sent me a screenshot of that, and then he sent me this picture that talked about like overweight, not sleeping, da 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 at the top,
Yep.
similar to your example, and then there was a line, and then on the bottom
Mhm.
was trauma, childhood, this, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And so where does the the not being real, because we're talking
Mhm.
about woke, where does the sleeping on what we need to address lie,
Yeah.
in your opinion?
I think it's in both places, right? Because
Okay.
we're conscious about some of the things that we ignore and choose to do, even though we know it's not the best,
Yep.
or we might not want to do it. And then there's some things that we're not conscious about. So it's kind of hard to say where's that line. I think it's individualized for
Okay.
each person. How much are you willing to look at yourself and do self-reflection, right? When you look in the mirror, do you see the depths of that trauma that initiated from when you were a child or when you were a teenager, and then how it's progressed and how the levels have built up to where you are now in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? How much of this has created your life in general? So I think it's a varied, multi-level thing, and that's why it's such a large discourse, and
Yeah.
there's so many different levels to discuss in regards to wellness, self-care, shadow work, dealing with your trauma, like, going to therapy. What's therapy? Is it only talk therapy? Is it movement therapy? Is it art therapy?
Music.
Music therapy. So there's a whole bunch of different things
Does
now
retail
that are
therapy
available
count?
to people. No.
We talked about that yesterday. Addictions like retail.
That's a whole nother stopgap, as they would say. It serves a temporary purpose, but at the end of the day, are
You
you
gotta pay the
real?
bill.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't be saying all these things to these people that are not going.
No, you
good.
good. No, we're listen, because we talked about it yesterday. We
Yeah.
talked about addiction.
Yeah.
And I named that it's not just, we talked about fentanyl, it's not just substances, but I raised this.
Yep.
Sugar. And then we
Sugar's
named
the biggest one. Yeah.
it. That's a whole
Sugar,
nother.
caffeine. Those are the legal ones that we're not supposed to talk about or acknowledge as addictions, because they're moving forces in our world, right?
Yeah. So I will say
alcohol. Now it's about to be weed.
Well,
weed is slowly joining that majority of like staple commodity, right?
But let me ask this, is because I've always asked this. They've always said that marijuana in itself is not addictive. Is the addiction, and I used to say when I worked with young people in this, is it the addiction to the euphoria or the feeling or the?
It's the addiction to the use and to the habit, right? You
Yeah.
create a habit.
Yeah.
It satisfies something. You feel good in whatever space. Maybe you don't necessarily feel good. Maybe it triggers you somehow, right? Or you have that paranoia. But
if it's sativa,
if you continue, if you continue and you're consistent with it, then it becomes a pattern, right? And so whether it's the actual marijuana that's addicting and that you can't do without, maybe you can do without the marijuana, but the act of smoking, the act of holding the blunt or the joint, the inhale, whatever it is, becomes a habit and it becomes stuck.
So, okay, let's look at that from a woke perspective. It's not a judgment. It's just maybe you want to be conscious of why you're smoking weed. For some, it could just be habit, that if you for 5 years, first thing you do is when you get up, light the blunt, or you get in the shower, and right before you leave the crib. If you've done that, and they say up to 21 days, you're already in the habit. Already in the habit form. And so I don't know how we got on weed, but the other thing that we was talking about was when you said the sugar and addiction. I've been very transparent, and I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Excellent.
Gummies.
What kind? Just regular gummies? Okay.
Yes, regular gummies.
Just checking.
So regular Haribo gummies. Anyway, if you eat the other gummies like I eat Haribo, I don't think I'd be here.
Yeah.
Oh God, that'd be crazy. But
no, a whole different animal.
It's a man. Listen, but I've been transparent that I could go through at one point in my life 3 bags of gummies in one night.
That's a lot.
But I wish I had the video and I shared it, and I'll try to find it.
What were your favorite gummies? Were they the those gummy bears?
The gummy bears.
Yeah. I had a
Haribo.
frat brother. Well, I have a frat brother who kills those things
All the time.
Yeah.
It's. But I realized something, and I'll try to get the video to you. This nutritionist psychologist came on and said that our addiction to the sugar can be found in the lack of paraphrasing emotional intelligence. That there's something going on in our emotions that the sugar satisfies, and that high. And then the other thing she said was my other addiction, because I've told people that if I could survive on chips and gummies and get all my nutrition, and bro, I would. And I said that one day, and I sat here on that couch and realized I felt that I was all set. I had 2 bags of chips, 2 Haribos, and some other stuff.
Haribos, that's what they are.
And y'all need to write a check because we ain't giving y'all no free publicity. But she said the crunching of the chips had something to do with our muscles being tense, and the crunching is some sort of subconscious.
Interesting.
I'll try to find it. I sent it to Naisha, so I'm gonna have to look in my inbox and see if I can find it. I'll tell you why
that's interesting real quick, because the crunching and the cracking and the tension. So like right now in my self-care and wellness journey, there's been a lot of release through stretching and just kind of restructuring. And so it involves a lot of cracking, right? Because you're creating new patterns, you're breaking out of old patterns. And during that process, when let's say I'm sitting here at the desk all day, I'm typing, create some tension in my shoulders, and now I'm more present to it, right? I'm tired of the pain, I'm more aware, I'm working on it, I'm making sure my shoulders are rolled back, my chest is open. Doing that roll back chest open on a consistent basis is gonna cause things to crack and pop and like restructure, because you're used to being forward. So the muscles are tensed here. Now you're rolling them back. You're holding them. If you're practicing on a consistent, regular basis, that movement, that breathing, and that expansion is going to cause some cracks. And so, that's the same thing with the chips cracking and crinkling. And it goes away after a while if you're consistent, because the new pattern comes in. And so you're no longer having to recreate this movement every time on this conscious level. But during that process,
you're cracking
of that change, everything is cracking.
Like Rice Krispies.
Like Rice
Snap,
Krispies,
crackle,
bro.
pop.
Yeah, everything.
So when I saw that, I was like, it resonated with me, because those are the sugar and then the chips. And when she made them comparable to unaddressed issues in the emotional area, unaddressed trauma, stuff like that, with the sugar and then with the crunching of the chips. And I'll be very transparent. Went to grab a bag the other night. And was like, it just, now to be aware of it, I cannot do it without thinking. And so now I've noticed over the past couple of days, my shoulders are tight. Some stressful things and just whatever. And so now I got to be conscious to not maybe get the chips, and for me, not bringing Haribos in this house for 3 nights straight. That's an accomplishment. Listen, for 3 nights straight.
When you're a regular on a daily basis, taking a day off, you're like, yo, I did something. Just one day, I did something. That's impressive.
And I can
do it if I want to.
I noticed too that I am conscious that because last weekend I was stressed out.
Yeah.
And I embraced that I was going to go get 2 bags of gummies. But I only got 1.
How big are these bags?
It's the regular bag.
I don't know what the regular.
It's the regular bag is like 4 or 5 ounces.
Okay.
So this is a shame. I would say 4 good handfuls.
Yeah.
And I've limited, even when I don't buy 2 bags anymore. Even when I do get gummies, I only get 1. Yeah. And so anyway, what's your eating go to if you have one?
So they've varied and they've transformed over the years. Chocolate was always my
darker milk.
Used to be dark. It used to be milk. I've grown into dark.
As you get older, you appreciate the cacao. And
you appreciate the not so sweetness.
Yes.
And then I'm trying to stay away from the sugar, like we said.
Okay.
And so, I still want my chocolate fix. At least I can go a little bit of dark. I used to be a chocolate chip cookie monster, like somebody over here on the things that they got the chocolate chips. But I've noticed that I've been shifting, right? So again, you develop the consciousness, you develop the realization, you develop the understanding, and then whether I think the more consistently you are that you do those things, the easier it is for you to kind of transform and go through that change process. But when you're just starting, you have to be constantly on it, like constantly on it. I'd come to the times where like I would go to the store, get the cookies or wherever I was at, get whatever I wanted. I would eat it, and then it wouldn't be until like after I ate it or later on, or maybe I ate too much, right? And then I'd be like, oh man, I said I was gonna try to fall back on these things, but I'm all the way in. Like, so I've had to like spend more time. So lately I've noticed that I haven't been going for the chocolate chip cookie, right? Still getting my desserts because I love the sweets, but just that shift and like, okay, it's not always the chocolate chip cookie. Maybe it's something else that's gonna give me that fix, or maybe it's the dark chocolate. But then also I've noticed that I haven't even been craving the chocolate as much. So
not even craving it is, I think, another step.
Yeah. You have to be, again, you have to be conscious about it. You can acknowledge it. You can live in it for a while in that conscious space of like, I'm going to indulge in this. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to enjoy this. But I think the more that you're present to it, and once you decide, okay, yes, it's an indulgence and I like it, but I know it's not good for me. I know I'm not happy. I'm 40, only getting older. I'm a black man. We've talked about how much sugar we consume as just an entire nation of people. I'm trying to make sure that I'm still healthy at 50, 60, however old I manage to live to be. And I still want to be functional to the best of my ability. And so indulging in all those sweets, great when I was 20, maybe 30s, but like 40, 50, 60, I have to have some sort of control and like some sort of awareness as to a little bit more about what I'm putting into my body. So
that's the thing that really is so I have this term that ignorance is bliss and awareness is stressful AF.
Yeah.
And it is people like Naisha, Carl Donaldson, Thaddeus Miles. I was drinking a Pepsi at the event with BAA.
Yeah.
And Carl Donaldson walked up on me.
I haven't drank soda in any consistency in like 20 years.
Well, after Carl walked up on me, and he's a very even-keeled, good brother. He walked up on me and said, "What the F are you drinking?" And I sugar. And then he went through the whole thing, the color and all the other stuff in it. Yep. And I was like, okay. And I went and got water. And so I am trying to change out habits. I'm trying to switch pistachios out for chips. Still getting that crunch. I think they have more nutrition and vitamins, but then I'm stuck because the commercial has all the extra barbecue and all the other stuff. So I'm like, so now I got to go eat raw with no flavor or anything. And so it's do we really, talking woke, do we as a people, do you think we realize how much of what we consume impacts not just the physical, but the mental, or why we're consuming is influenced by the mental? It's all kind of intersected and cyclical.
Yeah, it's a big cycle. I don't think as a group, nation of people, I could say black people, I could say Americans, I could say Western world, I don't think we really fully, as a majority, understand how that affects us, right? So the foods that we eat, why we eat them, and then the benefits and nutritions that they have. Again, it's growing, right? It's starting to come into more of the normative kind of standard or general masses. But as a whole, no, we're definitely been indoctrinated into the fast foods, into the indulgences, into all the processed foods. And so to talk to somebody in Chicago or New York, unfortunately, like, or just one of these places where the education or the information that's being provided in regards to how healthy food is, what healthy food is, they're not receiving that information. And even if they are somehow receiving it, the costs that are associated with eating well,
if it's available,
exactly. So there's a lot of different things that play that prevent people from really acknowledging it and then making conscious effort to do different.
And when they do, if it's available, it's almost an arm and a leg, because it is more expensive. And I don't know if this is by design, Carlin, but it is more expensive to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And we won't even have the conversation about organic, because the government even has different levels. You can say organic and it only be a certain amount of organic ingredients. And so our go-to is the organic, which is always more expensive because, well, our perceived first go-to for some is we think if we go to organic, it's healthier.
Yeah.
But in actuality, it may not be. It may just be a brand thing.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's different levels to organic.
Yep.
And you know what the FDC is
Yep,
gonna
yep.
what the FDA is gonna put or allow you to put a label on is going to be very different for different groups of people, different organizations. I was listening to like AM channel and just heard somebody talking about the beef industry and what that looked like and what was USDA approved and what, you know,
and grade A beef versus grade B and
apparently,
C.
Apparently, if it's processed in the United States, right, meaning it's chopped up or grinded and turned into what they're putting into the actual market, it doesn't matter where it comes from. So you can have stuff from all over the world, you know, get you a cow from Venezuela, ship it here, and then as long as the processing, right, the butchering and the grinding of the meat is done on U.S. property or in U.S. soil, then it's USDA.
It's so,
and it's like, ooh.
Have you seen the meme?
Beef no more.
Yeah, listen, you don't eat beef?
Nah.
So I don't switch from beef to bison.
Okay.
I think I guess that's better for, you know, I had a low red blood count.
Yeah.
But have you seen the meme going around with some guy in the meat factory was squeezing out secretions from? Have you seen that?
I've seen a couple of those. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those. I'm all set. Same thing with milk.
That's so when we were talking about
depussing the cow.
Yeah,
I'm all set.
I don't know if they did it to the bison. And
I don't know how you taking pus and milk from the same equipment. Sorry, I apologize.
Woke. Hey, woke Wellness Wednesday, but it
add some cream to your coffee. You'll be okay.
I'm not messing with this dude. First of all, the coffee, the sugar. And I see somebody's birthday in here. Happy birthday, Heidi. And she said that where's she at? Heidi getting slim and trim for her birthday. No added sugar, bread, dairy, etc. 16 pounds gone. Let me ask about that. And knowing Heidi, she's probably creating life habits. That's what I did some years ago when I used to be 260, 280. I created habits that I knew that I could at that time could stick to for the rest of my life. Yeah. I think I got a little more lenient when those habits carried on for like 2 or 3 years, and the doctors were like, "Hey, we need you to put on a little more weight."
Oh, really?
I got down to like, folks can attest, Heidi, my mother, and them. They were like, "Are you okay?
Yeah,
is anything going on?"
Too.
Yeah,
I had that conversation too. Like when I first started my process, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
When I first started my process and I was losing my weight because I was at 240, 250, and then I maxed down to like 180.
Okay.
And I was happy. I liked it. But listen, everybody was like, "Are you okay? Have you looked better, bigger?" And I was like, Did I really?
That's what people said. I'd like you bigger. I'm like, why?
So, you know, and there are definitely people out there with good intentions and trying to be caring. But there is a thing for sure where they're like, "Oh, you're looking too good. You look too healthy. Like you need to be up here with us." And like whether it's a conscious thing of recognition or just I need to feel good about myself too to see somebody else in this space.
Or is it that they perceive that we're happy because, you know, if you're happy or
you're
love,
big,
you're big.
Yeah. You got all
what is it?
World.
Joyful. What's that word? What's that word they use around the Christmas time? Anyway, jolly. Yes, we're a few months out, but
yeah.
It is interesting because I did life habits, and so I was able to lose weight, and my intention was to lose weight, but I wanted to be healthy as well. And so now I'm trying to develop habits and routines that I can stick to for the rest of my life. And it's hard as crap.
I don't think you should have to stick to anything for the rest of your life. I think you should be able to try new things, experiment, right?
Yep.
And understand why you're doing something or why you're making that choice about it. And then, do it, create the pattern, create the habit, make sure you understand it. But if you want to change and you want to try something else, or you're like, I can take a break of doing this, what's wrong with that? Why should we have to be locked in to doing and creating this new pattern of this repetitious thing consistently? Because again, whether it's good or bad, forming patterns and being locked into patterns takes you away from consciousness.
Wait. Because, all right, when I talk about routines and habits, for me, that is in being healthier. So getting up, they say it's better to go to bed the same time. They say to go to bed the same time and get up the same time. And so I would want to get up every morning, and the first thing I do is stretch. Then I want to make sure I drink 8 ounces of water. Then I want to drink 4 ounces of celery juice. And so when you say that those type of habits take us away from consciousness, what go a little bit deeper there?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same again, whether it's a positive habit or a negative habit. And again, those terms are arbitrary, right?
Yep.
So it's nothing locked in. But regardless of what the pattern is for, once you lose the conscious awareness of why and how you're doing it, it's just another thing that you do. Right. And so there's no more any conscious choice between whether or not you're actually choosing to do that thing, or it's just a thing that you do.
But okay, we're going to do this. I like that we're face to face. In the origin, the choice was conscious to develop this habit.
Yes.
For the purpose of being healthier.
Yes.
So in that case, is it okay to
never change it and just leave it alone and keep it on autopilot to just go through the rest of your life? Potentially.
The way he just shot that down real quick. Okay, fine.
I didn't shoot it down. I said
not shot it down, but
yeah.
Potentially, yeah. Now that you put it, so I guess that you always have to evaluate. So what I'm getting from you is you got to always be conscious and evaluate. Fine.
Yeah. And that's just it. Listen, life is one grand experiment. Everything that we do is an experiment for experience.
Yeah.
You're trying something. We never really stop being kind of like kids and like trying to figure out something new unless we tell ourselves that we're grown and we know it all. And I don't need to try this because I've had this experience already and I know where this is at. And we all have that in some way or form, some levels. Again, everything is levels, everything is differentiation, but it's all along kind of like the same scale or in the same wavelength. And so, yes, patterning, healthy patterns, very good. You create them into this sustainable thing that you never change. Cool. Let's use an example. I know I have a good one. Running. That's a great, depending on who you talk to, depending on what they're doing. A lot of people say that's a great healthy habit. Some people say it's terrible because it messes up your body, puts extra stress, pounding on the knees, the feet,
hips,
whatever.
the
hips. Yeah. But for most people who do it, and I used to run and I still enjoy running occasionally, it's a good exercise, a good workout.
Yep.
Gives you release some good endorphins. But if you're a runner that just now has to run and it's become a part of who you are, you don't really think about it. You have your style, you get into your zone and you're locked in because your body's used to it. And so you can go on that autopilot and you can push out those miles. Well, yes, you might be doing relatively good for your body. You're maintaining the stamina and you're healthy. But if you have a bad running habit, or if you're leaning one side to the other, and so now you're putting pressure on a leg versus the other.
Yep.
Now you're sustaining this negative habit where you're really putting trauma on your body
and compensating on the other.
You're compensating and you're running this. And so you might generally feel really good afterwards, but maybe now you're starting to notice this dull ache or this pain that's starting to build up, or maybe it's more than just a dull ache, but it's a significant pain. And
but you're still running.
You have no clue what it is because according to you and as best as you know, this pattern works. This habit works. And so you've never really spent any time when you're running, evaluating your body and thinking about that form and how you're moving. You're just doing it because, well, this is what I do and I run and I run well, so I'm not going to change it. And that could be applied to anything that we do that we consider to be healthy. Yes, we started it healthy. We did it for that purpose. But after 5 years or however long the pattern took to be cemented, now you're no longer thinking about it. And so if there's anything in there that could have created some sort of negativity or created a pattern that's not necessarily healthy for you, that's just going to continue to build up because you're not paying any attention to the process. You're not looking at why you're still continuing to do this thing. And you've never said, oh, let me try and change it, or let me see if I can do it a different way, or am I still happy with this pattern? It just stays a pattern that you're doing.
And so you're locked into that. I mean, you
filed it and dropped it into that sub level of that iceberg, right?
to
you
that took it
deep
back.
Part. Yeah. It's now become a root. It's no longer a branch, right? It's
that is growing.
The root, yeah.
And the root grows a little bit too, but it's
no, the roots never stops, bro. The roots are growing like that. That's some of the biggest structures that we have are those root systems.
You're almost bringing out the preacher in me, because the root has to go find the water. It has to find its responsibility is to find the nutrients.
It dumps all the negativity out, and then it pulls in all the positivity that you can get. Yeah.
There's a few preachers on here, so I'm sure they could take and run with that. Real Boston Media's in the room. Good to see y'all. This is we're going to get ready to wrap it up. But I think if we figure this out, I like this. The Zoom model is one thing, but it's a whole different vibe, being here. And eventually, we'll be able to get 3 or 4 people in here, nice, to chat with us. But Carlin, tell us about Three Body Wellness. How can folks get in touch with you? I'm gonna let him, since he's here today, and I think I messed it up last time while he's talking. Put the website right there.
Yeah.
Our associate producer this morning, brother Carlin Barrett. But tell us about Three Body Wellness.
Yeah. So Three Body Wellness is the continuation of 3R massages, which I started in 2016, which, when I started it, it was how to get out to people, how to start introducing this information that I have. And it was a focus on massage or body work, because that was what I was licensed in, and it was the best way to express and get out the work that I was doing. So 3R massages had to focus on massage and just body work in general. And I was still developing, and I'm still doing it, because again, everything is constantly evolving, and I'm still learning how to express and share the work that I'm trying to provide. And so Three Body Wellness developed later with more comfort about sharing not just massage, and sharing not just this body work to come in and help people relax. And so Three Body Wellness is really at the core sort of a retransformation attempt, right?
Yep.
It's therapy, it's mindfulness awareness. It's saying my body works, I'm happy, but I recognize these pains, I'm aware of these pains. I'm aware of these pains as a physical thing. I'm aware of this pain as an emotional thing. And I'm aware of this pain as some sort of like trauma potentially, right? And so I've always wanted to get to the root of what my situation is, what my issues are, what my traumas are. And so it's a lifetime journey of self-exploration and being willing and open to like do this work and just look at myself a little bit deeper. I recognize that there are habits and patterns that have formed or have been the foundation to form who I am today at 40 years old. Some of those have been good. Some of those have been bad. Yeah. And it's not unless I'm aware of them and I'm making conscious decisions and choosing, this doesn't work, but this habit is deep. It's not going to change tomorrow. So I'm just going to continue to be present to it and hold myself accountable and continue to work. So that way, the more I'm holding myself accountable, it'll eventually start to change.
And that philosophy,
that's just what it is. Yeah.
And that philosophy carries over into how you entreat and engage with folks, from the body work to conversation to being conscious maybe about what you're consuming as well.
Yeah. And so to wrap it up and tie it into the business, like we discussed earlier, there's so many different forms of therapy and just being aware. And I found that the body is a great vehicle. It's a tool. That's what we all have. It's a tool to exist in this world. And the body work allows me to recognize the tool, how it's working, make the changes that need to be made, make the adjustments, correct the patterns. And that's what leads to all the cracking and the popping and the shifting and the releasing of the tension, and then create those new patterns through the body that I'm then able to see take hold in the physical, the emotional, and the mental, right? And so somebody else could be doing this through going to the talk therapy, through going through the music therapy, allowing them to be present to what they're feeling, and then releasing that and creating the new pattern. This is just one approach that I found valuable. It's worked for me. I've had some people that said it's worked for them, and they're constantly moving and evolving. So I'm just constantly moving, evolving, and trying to do the same thing. So 3-Body Wellness is just a better, I think, a better representation for what I want to hopefully share to people, and what I think is something that's beneficial and that can actually help people understand and get more aware of their body and their emotional state. So
it's definitely I've grown a lot since like talking with this brother. And when I went on the table, I think, hold on, put it right in here. There we go. Yeah. We're going to put the website up for you guys to check out, but I fell asleep. So much so that I was apologizing because I heard myself snore. And I've had a couple of professional massages, and I don't think I've fallen asleep. And when I tell you, I heard myself go, I was like, oops. But definitely check this brother out, 3-Body Wellness, there on Instagram, and website as well. Oh, check them out right there on Instagram.
Yeah, so I just put that for the Instagram connect, and it's actually add the LLC to that as well, because there's another page that just says 3-Body Well or 3-Body Wellness.
Okay.
The LLC at the end is going to be mine.
Go ahead. So this is how they find you on Instagram.
Yeah, and so the Instagram will take them to the LinkedIn page or the booking page, which is on Pocket Suite, and so that's just a longer link that I'd have to type in. So I just have to send that to you again, and we'll get it saved. But it's a mobile booking app, so it's not a web page. The new web page is coming up, or the new website is coming up. But for now, it's just easier for everything else to go through Instagram, or once you get the link to go to Pocket Suite, it's a mobile app. You can book online, book through your phone, and you can see some more information about some of the services that I have to offer.
Okay. Brother Carlin, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for having me.
You got it in for 3 months so far. We're
excellent.
Summer's coming. We're going to figure it out, but this brother's always going to be here to chat with us about like wellness, because as you see, I love his perspective, and it awakens different aspects of us approaching wellness. So Carlin, if you give me 2 seconds, just going to share a couple of things. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we have this powerful Black woman who is killing it in the game of construction. She's a silent storm getting it done. And so we are honored to have Jacole, who we call JC Burton of Maven Construction, and also Surge, which is a movement around equity in construction. And again, she's a Black woman. And I believe, if I'm right, and we'll find out tomorrow, she is one of the leads in the construction of what's going on over in P3 with, I'm not even going to get into the names and stuff now. Also, please save the date of May 20th, 2023. And Carlin, you're welcome to come have a table there if you're free, or send somebody at the Delma Burns building from 11 to 3 p.m. We are having a health fair in collaboration with Massachusetts General Hospital. We are going to have providers from cancer. You'll be able to get diabetes tests, I believe, phlebotomy in the they're going to do other blood tests. We're looking to have over 25 tables of healthcare resources. There are going to be prizes, giveaways. The MGH van will be there. I believe the MGH substance abuse disorder van will be there as well. So please save the date of May 20th. We're going to have a lot going on there. And then also don't forget June 21st, Java with Jimmy on the waterfront cookout.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing a whole big cookout.
Nice.
We can't say the place yet because we haven't got it approved yet, but we'll let y'all know about that. But listen, we're going to let you all go. Please don't forget to join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. with JC Burton as we talk Black women in construction. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a good day, everybody. Don't forget to show some love to Brother Carlin in the comments. And don't forget to go to check him out on 3-Body Wellness on Instagram. There's a link in the bio, and that'll take you to the booking.
The booking app.
The booking app. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we will see y'all tomorrow at 9 a.m. Peace.
Thank you, guys.